Hey guys, what's going on? This is Andrew here today, and we're basically just going to be showing off some games that I got from Game On in Miller Place today. Game On is a retro game store. I've covered them plenty of times on my channel because I've done pickup videos based off of them in the past. They have locations in New York in the towns that are Miller Place, Smithtown, Patchogue, and they even have an arcade at the Smith Haven Mall. So they're in Suffolk County, New York. They don't have anywhere outside of the state or the county for that matter, but it is pretty cool. They have some really nice locations, and the owner is also a really nice guy. I've been going there since I was 13. That's really what started my retro game collecting stuff. So yeah, I went there today for a very specific reason. I actually ordered a Retron 5 since I'm going away to college. I don't want to haul all of my systems away with me, so I'm going to be basically using that to play a majority of my cartridge-based systems. I believe that one plays NES, Super Nintendo, Famicom, Super Famicom. It also plays GBA, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and there's an adapter that I got that also plays Master System, the Master System cards, and Game Gear. So this thing plays a ton of stuff. I found it for $100. I couldn't resist that deal, considering the thing usually goes for $150 and above, either used or new. I really wanted to jump on the thing, and I found it, so let's hope that the thing is in perfect working order when I get that, because I've already spent a ton of money on games today. So games, in terms of the platforms that I shot for today, were GBA, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Regular, Famicom, Super Nintendo, NES, Game Gear, and Master System. So this is actually my first time having a Famicom game, first time getting a Game Gear game, and first time getting a Master System game. So a lot of firsts today, and for very good reason. I'm very excited to get the Retron, and I'm definitely going to be messing around with it a ton once I get it. It is an HDMI system, so it's actually going to basically be with all my HD consoles. Don't know yet if I'm going to get one of those adapters to connect it to a component and do it on the CRT instead. But for now, we're just going to be doing it on the HD TV, as I heard that it looks pretty good, and I can't complain about that. So a majority of this haul was Nintendo, so we're going to start looking at the Nintendo games first. Reason I didn't really go for any Genesis games is because I already have a decent amount, where when comparing it to my Nintendo collection, it is much bigger. So I felt like collecting more Nintendo today. The only Sega stuff I really went for was the Master System and the Game Gear, since I have no games for either of them, so I figured I'd get one of each for those. But yeah, like I said, first off, we're going to be looking at Nintendo. So starting off, we got a Famicom game that the owner of Game On was nice enough to give me a deal on, so it was $9.99. I'm not going to say exactly what I got it for, just for respect of him. I did get a really good deal on it though, and he basically picked this out for me. Said this was one of the really harder games. I already forgot the name of it, and I'm probably not going to remember the name of it or be able to find it because I'm terrible at finding names of Japanese games. But he told me this is really hard, and I am looking forward to trying it because I love the challenge of retro games. I am a big Sonic fan, and those are notorious for being pretty hard. NES has a lot of pretty hard hitter games as well that are very challenging. So looking forward to playing this one. This is going to be my first Famicom game that I ever play. Alright, so next up we have Toy Story for the Super Nintendo. So I originally was going to get this version for the Genesis a while back and never ended up doing it, but I figured since I saw it at the shop today, I might as well get it for the Super Nintendo. I am one of the very few people that actually prefers the Genesis over the Super Nintendo. It's not for any huge reason. I still love the Super Nintendo. I like it just one spot below the Genesis in terms of where it is in my favorite consoles of all times list. It's one of those things where, honestly, the Genesis feels a little bit more arcadey to me than the Super Nintendo. That's just personal preference. That's nothing against the Super Nintendo, which is still an amazing system to me. I just happen to prefer usually the Genesis versions of games. However, I do think that this is probably the definitive version of the game compared to the Genesis version, but I won't know until I play it. I honestly forgot when the last time I saw gameplay of this was, but I just remember seeing one video way back of people comparing the two, and someone said the Super Nintendo version was better, and honestly, even if it is, or if it isn't, I still would have enjoyed the game anyway. So another Super Nintendo game added to the collection. It's about time. So moving away from the home console games, we are now going to be looking at some of the handheld games that I got for the Nintendo systems, starting off with the oldest one being the Game Boy. So this game that I got was Pokemon Pinball. I wasn't sure in the beginning what platform this was for, but Basically, this is a Game Boy / Game Boy Color game, but it is a game that plays on the Game Boy. So I like pinball games. I actually don't know anything about Pokemon Pinball. I just saw it was a pinball game, and it was also a Pokemon game, so I figured it would be something I'd just pick up. I know absolutely nothing about this game. This is a complete blind purchase. Since the Retron plays Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and Game Boy Color, I figured that I'd pick up the handheld versions of games regardless of it having to be played on a home console rather than on the go. If I want to play it on the go, I'll just emulate it on my Razr phone since I have a physical copy of the game, and that no longer makes it illegal. So right after that one, we got a Game Boy Color game, and that is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, I should say. I did see gameplay of this a while back. It's obviously not the same as the Nintendo 64, PlayStation, and Dreamcast version of the game, but I did see that it was a very solid port and looked pretty cool, so I definitely am going to be having a lot of fun with this one once I pop it into the system. This is also one of my first Game Boy Color games in years. The only other one I had were some of the Pokemon games, and then there was a Monsters Inc. game that I also had, but that was like years and years. We're talking about like maybe 2005 that I had that game, and then eventually traded it into a retro game store when I sold all of those handheld consoles. I used to have the Game Boy Color, GBA, and original Game Boy, but I sold them to a retro game store when I was very young, and I'm still very pissed off about that. I also had a Super Nintendo, eventually bought it again, but still very pissed off I did all that stuff. Added another Game Boy Color game to the collection, and that's always cool. Definitely going to enjoy this since I am definitely a fan of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games. I'm currently playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2, the remake that they put onto next-gen consoles. I'm playing it on Series X, and it is so much fun. So the last of the handheld systems, we got a game that was a huge part of my childhood, and that game right there is Lego Star Wars, the first one on GBA. So this was one of the first video games I ever actually played on GBA. I got this version of the game before I got my GameCube, so I think this was probably only the third, maybe my third game I ever got, because I know I had Pokemon Emerald, I know I had SpongeBob the movie. I think this one was probably the third one because I wasn't into Star Wars until I was in kindergarten. So I played a ton of that game when I was growing up. I never got to the end of it. I finished the first 2 episodes, and I got stuck at one point on the third episode. One of the levels, I just couldn't figure out how to get past these 2 force fields, and I'm definitely going to look at how to do that now. I'm very excited to give this game a shot again because this was a huge part of my childhood. I played Lego Star Wars like crazy on all platforms, whether it be Game Boy, DS, Wii, Xbox, PlayStation, just all over the place. So used to be a very big fan of the Lego games. I never got to finish this one, so I'm hoping that I finally will get to cross that off my bucket list once the console comes in the mail. So we are now down to my last 2 games that I got on this list, and these also happen to be my first games on each of these systems. So first off, we got my first Game Gear game, and that is Sonic the Hedgehog 2, or Sonic and Tails, whatever you want to call it. So this obviously isn't the same as Sonic 2 on the Genesis, which I have played so many times now, played through multiple times. I actually just played it again recently on Nintendo Switch Online, the expansion pack, and I was looking at this game today, and I had a little bit of a realization while I was at the retro game store and had a little conversation with the owner about this. We really don't see secondary games like this anymore. Back then, you know, with the DS, when the Wii was out, you would see a lot of console versions of the games and then handheld versions of the games that would be completely different, or watered down versions of the console version that makes it to where it's a lot different. So we don't see games like this anymore at all, because now that Nintendo Switch is a thing, we just get the console versions of the game on the go at this point. So we don't see games like this, and yes, when they were around, I have to say that I really didn't care for them because I'd rather play the console versions, but now that they're gone, I do actually miss them. So I can see myself collecting these kind of games a lot more, whether it be on the handheld Sega systems or even some of the more modern ones like the 3DS. So I can see myself collecting for that as time goes on, because I really have to say that I do miss these kind of games. So I'm definitely looking forward to playing my first Game Gear game. I hope to eventually get a Game Gear in the future as well, but for now, we got Sonic 2 on the Game Gear, and that happens to be my first Game Gear game. So last game on this list, also my first Master System game, Rocky. So I know nothing about this game at all. I don't know if it's one of those fighting games, if it's like a side-scrolling game, if it's like one that you play with friends. I really don't know at all, but I do know that this is my first Master System game, and it was cheap enough to where I figured, you know what, I might as well give it a shot. And I am very excited to give it my first playthrough because I don't know anything about it, and it's honestly a lot of fun going into games blind sometimes. So anyway guys, that is the end of this video. That is everything that I got in the lot. I have to say, I got some pretty cool stuff today, and a lot more stuff than usual. I felt like getting one of everything is something that I love doing, and just doing it today for my excuse of getting the Retron just means that I basically expanded on libraries that I didn't have before, or libraries that are basically really small and need some growing. So I'm happy to have expanded those libraries. I'm happy to have started my collection for other platforms. It is really cool to do that, and yeah, I'm very excited to get this Retron 5 in the mail. I'm definitely going to be playing these games, every single one of them, as soon as I do get them in. So I don't really stream any games. I'm not really a gameplay channel, but if there is an opportunity where I feel like it's a fun time to do it, I would love to hear your feedback if you would love to see me do this kind of stuff. I suck at old video games. It would be probably a lot of fun to watch you guys laugh at. It might also make some of you older guys cringe because I know you guys are a lot better probably at these games than I am. So anyway guys, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and think that I got some pretty cool stuff today. I will see you all in the next one.